let's go to the last speaker, and it's Lieve De Bosscher. And under her leadership, Ghent has launched some truly innovative initiatives, from training parents as childcare workers to enhancing training programs for childcare professionals. And Lieve will be talking about collaborating for change, working together at the municipal level.
Thank you. Dobre odpoledne. Good afternoon. Dear all who have a warm conviction for young children and their right to qualitative early childhood education and care. I am honored to be with you, and I want to thank all involved in this conference to give me the floor. To give the floor to a municipality where practice and local policy come together. As a director of the ECC services of the city of Ghent, I am truly convinced that the level of municipalities can be a very meaningful level to make progress for ECC for all. As time is short, I will dive straight into it. Ghent is the third largest city in Belgium. However small a country we are, and we are really small, we have a very, very complex institutional organization, which I will not bore you with. For today's understanding, it's good to know that the municipality of Ghent is part of the Flemish region, and therefore it works with Flemish legislation for its ECC that resorts under welfare and does not education. As a consequence of this complexity, we have a double split system in Flanders and thus also in the municipality of Ghent. How does this thing work? Aha, yes. So the early years are here, and we split from welfare to education from the age of 2.5 to 6. But the second split is here, during the time of the day. So this split translates in different legislation, different initial training for educators, different wages, but above all, children and families, they have to relate to all these different co-educators. It makes it very complex on a family level. It makes working together more complex than needed. As a municipality, we've decided to overcome this by having and holding education and care in one department and supporting it from one vision on children, young people and families. The scale of a municipality is perfectly manageable to do this. Children and their families are approached on the basis of human rights, starting from the child, always, and that's always, in cooperation with the family and in the neighborhood where they live, play, and learn. What do we provide for and why? Most of my contribution today will focus on childcare 0 to 3, although a lot of similar strategies are running in the 3 to 6, but time is too short to dive into both. Because we believe that the local level can have real impact on the life of children and families, we operate in a double role as ECC service. So you can, you can see that here, we operate as a director and as an organizer. As a director and supporter manager of all ECC in Ghent and as an organizer of ECC. As an organizer, we absolutely focus on equity, accessibility, inclusion, diversity, and innovation and quality. It allows us to develop and innovate and then disseminate from the 27% of the market we have to the full market, as if I may call it a market, but it's treated that way. So the whole ECC provision can thrive on that. This includes private non-for-profit organizations, NGOs, but also private companies. The Ghent context is a city of 270,000 inhabitants. 1 in 5 children live in poverty. And for the 0 to 6, this percentage runs up to 1 in 4. So it means that young families are getting poorer. 22% live in a single-parent family, and over 50% have a migrant background. 160 origins are present in our city. It has all the indicators of a super diverse city where there is no more a single majority. As our coverage rate is only 52%, which is mentioned on the here. Of course, there's pressure on supply and demand. And as a municipality, we have succeeded, even in the face of shortages, to realize accessibility in equity. It means that people, even in this shortage, can participate in an equal way. Research, and this conference, and all of you, we know it, it tells us good childcare is good for all children. But children with a vulnerable background, they will benefit more. But how can you realize this as a municipality? If you want to have impact as a municipality, first of all, you have to choose a certain systemic approach. In Ghent, we chose the European Quality Framework as a model to design our childcare services in the directing role and in the organizing role. We believe it is a very comprehensible and pretty hands-on model. Sorry. First, so this is on Access. This explains, but I will skip these general slides. You can read them afterwards. First big task as a municipality to work on and never stop working on it, work data driven. As a municipality, you need to know who are the families, where they live, what they need, and how they access the system right now. As a municipality, you can make the difference and you can take initiative to coordinate the local EC sector as a whole. We design as an organizer services that are in place for all inhabitants, but we make an extra effort for those who need it more. The so-called more vulnerable families, the socially deprived, the families with migrant background, and unfortunately, it's often the people with migrant background that are the most socially deprived. This is our leading principle of proportional universalism. As an example, we invest in data gathering and coordination to determine where we should put new childcare centers, so they can be maximally accessible to vulnerable families. I included a report, it's here. Underneath all these things there are links, so once you get it, you can access it. And you get an idea how it works, because we have a lot of knowledge about who these families are. And you know, it is in Dutch, but if you put it through Google Translate, it works perfectly fine. So now we have the data, they're quantitative and they're qualitative. Now we can regulate equitable access, even in a context of shortage. And we can also explain why we do it to stakeholders and decision makers, and not to forget the financial departments. This accounts for what we organize ourselves, but what about the others? Because you remember, I only am in charge of 27%. How can we stimulate them to organize accessible, strong, qualitative ECC2? We developed a municipal-driven system where all parents are registered, or can be supported to register when they're in need of childcare. This also exists for education, this system. Allocation of places is no longer based on first come, first serve. Those who want to start, they get their allocation at the same time, so 9 months before start. It allows us for a much more equitable access, as more vulnerable families do not suffer the negative side effects of not having swift access to systems, not having swift access to people that can open up the system for them. The non-municipal organizers in this system are all participating in this. So we have 100% coverage. Why? Because we made it easier for them to access new funding from the regional level. So the money comes from the regional level, but we have worked on a contract with the regional level, which allows us to direct the funding. Those providers, so the other 73%, that invest where there's a shortage of ECEC or where poverty rates are higher, they get pre-funded by the municipality, so they can realize this capacity building quicker. And for the municipality, it is not too expensive because it's only pre-financing. As soon as the regional level arrives with the funding, we can start a new round. I included a short film on that, which you can look at home. Funding in the early years does remain limited in Flanders. We're really not the best pupil in the class. But, so childcare is not free, but it is income related. So low income families pay a very little amount, up to €0. And the meals are free in our 0 to 3, but they are also income related in our municipal schools. So we make it possible that everybody has access and finances shouldn't be a barrier. But families need more. Sorry, I should have it written. Families, they need more than access to ECEC. They need a full and holistic approach of their needs as a family in your city. ECEC is a place where we can meet all these families. These families need healthcare, they need social services, they need access to specialized help. As in most neighborhoods in our cities, all these services, in fact, are in place. But often and very unwillingly, they work separate from each other. They live in silos. They reach out to these same families, they operate in the same neighborhoods, but are not connected or not connected enough. So for 3 years now, we introduced as a municipality, starting from the Department of Education and Care, policy to overcome this silo. We do it on 2 levels. The level of the practitioners. We realize that all these practitioners are highly professional, but they're very focused on their own theme. So we build a training which trains them to be a generalist. So all the people, and whether they work in NGOs, whether they work in midfield organizations, whether they work for the city, it doesn't matter. They have free access to this training. And in this way, they become generalists. They can listen to what all the needs of families are. In the next 2, oh, sorry. So this is on. We didn't really invent this. We all know it's necessary, but we had a study visit to the city of Glasgow, and they really inspired us. And we very gratefully borrowed their mission. They say, there is no wrong door. If you reach out to one of us, you will reach all of us. Ideally, of course, everything is in one place, but this is not possible and very costly. New sites are now being built in Ghent in ECEC to make it possible to have all these services, a bit like my dear colleague Ivanka presented, that all these services can be located in one place, but of course we can't rebuild a full city. In this network of specialists that are often well present in the neighborhoods and are often specialized thematic services, we set up communal trainings for practitioners, so they learn from each other, and especially they refer to each other, and they even physically accompany the families to each other. This concept is called the growth theme. It's a neighborhood-based way of working together and as a local place to grow. Specialized teams become each other's allies in that way, with the families at the center of their focus. I've got 1 minute left, so I won't be able to do it all. But this is only possible if all the decision makers, at least on the local level, believe that they are part of this better, more efficient story. So you need to involve all of them, also the finance department, who are always interested in making more of less money, and in the worst case, more of the same money. This is a very complex, and I won't explain it, but it's worth looking into afterwards. It's a governance model that we designed that makes these growth teams in the neighborhoods possible. When you want to work on integrated service, this is the way to start. I want to refer to your working group. You have to bring these people together. This discourse is not available in Flanders on the regional level. And this again shows how on a municipal level, you can actually innovate in favor of all families. We started a few years ago with these family policy groups, and it operates as a network of networks. We succeeded in bringing together politicians, experts and researchers, NGOs and city departments. Today achieved is we have set communal goals on concrete topics. Our next step is align and target municipality funding on these priorities. It's a work in progress, but of impact and indeed needed in the face of rising poverty. I wanted to also take you a bit to the curriculum, but my time is finished, Maxime. So I won't do this. The only thing I want to say is that there's 2 pictures included, and these 2 pictures show you in a very easy way how we work as a municipality on this. We have the child in the middle, we work with the family, the team, and the neighborhood, and we work on the basis of all these principles so we can attain the outer circle. I hope that one day we will be able to realize what I just presented for all the children. I am proud to be able to work like this, endorsed by the municipality and thus our politicians. At the same time, we have to stay aware, all of us, that it's all about politics. And the democratic approach we build on is never for granted. This is why conferences like these also bring us strength and energy to preserve what is good and to keep on building for a qualitative ECEC for all. Thank you.